Hello again, my name is Shelly and I'm welcoming you back to my channel and another version of a dupe video. Today we've got Natasha Denona. This is her Sunrise palette. It's one of her MIDI palettes. It's so gorgeous and perfect and pretty. Not too long ago I saw that she was doing some sales with this as a part of a set. So if you were able to take advantage of some of the sale pricing, good job. I think that's kind of the way to go. And we're putting it up against the Alter Ego Aurora palette. Now, Alter Ego has been known to do some pretty darn good dupes. That's what the palette looks like. I've swatched it. I don't know that I've ever actually used it. But anyway, these are the palettes side by side. They're not laid out identically. And sometimes when that happens, I get a little challenged trying to find the exact dupes. But I figured we would do what we've done before, which is try the high end on one eye and the not so high end, more economical, fiscally responsible version on the other eye, and see if we can't get the same colors, not the same formula. We're not trying to dupe the formula because you can't, right? It's Natasha Denona. So we're not duping that portion of it, but we're looking to see, can we get something that looks to be about the same so that maybe somebody else is looking at you, don't know that you didn't spend very much money on it, or if you liked it but you are cognizant of your financial situation, that you're making good choices but maybe the color story appeals to you. So let's just see how we do. Now I do have, you know, some base makeup on, but I do have a lack of product underneath my eyes. That's intentional. Right now I've got some Charlotte Magic cream to try to help some of my crepiness because I was looking kind of crappy with the crepey. Every brush that I'm going to use on each side is going to be the exact same one. It's the exact same brush. I'm just going to color switch it and try to clean it up as best I can so that we get a kind of like the similar product distribution, similar application, just to make them as consistent as possible. I do have a little of the Thrive Cosmetics 360-degree eye primer on already. I love this. It doesn't give me any really coverage and I'm scared. I don't even know which direction to go to. Like, part of me loves doing monochromatic eye looks. That's always kind of my go-to. But there's also some colors in here that I just like. This cranberry looks delicious. This yellow, this kind of orangey color, those vibrant colors are really appealing to me. I don't want to be too predictable. I don't want to do just the sunset eye look. I want to do like the Shelly version of what I would do with this palette. Are you guys okay with that? If you guys want me to come back and do like 3 looks with this palette, either of them, let me know. I'd be happy to. Just leave me a comment down below. Okay, so I'm going to start with, I think I want to start with the shade called Star in the Alter Ego palette. It's not the same name in the Natasha Denona palette. It's actually called Morgan. And for whatever reason right now I can actually read the lettering. I think it's because there's shiny lettering on a flat matte background and that's making it easier for me to see them without my reading glasses. So I'm going to start with Star, which is kind of like this sort of apricot-y color. And I'm going to put it over here. Now, just so you guys know, spoiler alert, this side is going to be my Alter Ego side. The no ring side today is my Alter Ego side. So we'll do the high-end side on my wedding ring side, the better part of my face. There is such a thing. Okay, that one on, very sheer, kind of buffed out almost to nothingness, and that is perfectly fine for me because it's just a transition shade. Okay, cleaning off the brush, and we're gonna grab the same same shade over here on this side. Very little fallout, not nearly as much as I get with Alter Ego. I think I said C Color earlier. If I did say C Color Cosmetics, I apologize. C Color Cosmetics also does a lot of dupes with palettes, and I don't have a problem with their quality either. I actually like their product. I feel like you might be too far away. Are we close enough? Let me zoom in a little bit more. Okay, in a little bit further. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Cleaned up my brush again and set it aside just on the off chance that I need it again. Chances are I will. Okay, I'm grabbing another brush. I want to do this cranberry color. There's several different ways I've used color like these, and they always make me a little nervous when I see them because they're just so bold. This one's called Nova in the Aurora palette, and it's called Glory in the Natasha Denona palette. So I'm actually going to start kind of like mid eyelid on the outer corner and laying a bunch of it down, and then I'm going to drag it, cleaning off the brush, and we're going to go into the ND side. It seems like in the pan that the shades are a little different, but let's see what it looks like when we get them onto the eyeball. I found that that first shade seemed to be much more pigmented on the Natasha Denona side, and as is this. This seems to be much more denser, richer. So what I'm going to do is, after I get a little bit of it on here, I'm going to go back into that first brush that I kind of cleaned off, and I'm just going to buff out, which hopefully will blend out, sheer out, maybe pick up some of the product. All right, the one thing I noticed automatically on the Natasha Denona side is I feel like the shade is a little bit more deeper and richer. It seems to have like this kind of purpley undertone to it, whereas the Alter Ego side seems a little brighter. And I'm not picking up the wrong color. I mean, it's like literally the corresponding color. I'm gonna take a little bit of a smaller brush, and we're gonna go into, it's Twilight on the Alter Ego Aurora side, and this is kind of like their deepish, it's almost like a brick red. I'm gonna start with that down here on my lash line. Now, normally when I do eyeshadows, if you guys have been around, you'll see that I usually kind of like layer eyeshadows, and I'm doing some overlap, but I'm not truly layering them like I normally do. I wanted to kind of try a bunch of different colors just so I can get the formula kind of across the playing field here. I feel like Alter Ego in general, it's, like I said, not as vibrant, and that's okay. Sometimes it's it's easier to build than it is to sheer out. Okay, we're gonna grab this shade over here on the Natasha Denona side, and it is called Clove, which seems appropriate. So we may not be able to get, you know, an exact dupe on the color just based on that one alone. This one seems, you know, it's such a small amount of it. Yeah, it's a little bit more richly pigmented than the Alter Ego one, which is to be expected. Yeah, this one feels like it's a little bit more purpley, and this one feels like it's a little bit more pink. I'm gonna go back, I'm cleaning my brush off again. I'm gonna go back into the Alter Ego side, grab a little bit more Twilight, just build it up just slightly more right here. I also feel like I get slightly more fallout on the Alter Ego side. Again, not necessarily a bad thing, just more of a, hey, heads up, in case A, that's something that's important to you, or B, if you're someone who typically does their face makeup first and then does, you know, their eyes on top of it, that might be something that can be challenging. Dawn, this purpley color right here called Dawn, it's like a purple shimmer, almost like a duochrome, but with like a silver backing to it. It's really a beautiful shade. This might be better as a topper on top of, you know, another base color, but we're gonna put it on the lid straight up, see how that works. And my fat fingers are trying to drag it up a little bit. I'm getting too much transfer on my lower lid space, and that's pretty. Okay, I'm grabbing a brush that I kind of already cleaned off a little bit, sort of cleaning up that crease section a little bit. And of course I do get it underneath my eyes, but we will fix that up a little bit. So I'm gonna wipe off my finger so that I can use the same one, and we're grabbing this shade over here. Oh, sorry. This shade over here on the Natasha Denona side, and it's called Aster. So do you guys go for the dupes? Are you guys okay purchasing dupes, or do you feel like that's almost like it's not a true copyright infringement because they're not calling it the same name. They don't have them in the same location. They're not saying this is Natasha Denona Sunrise. They're not saying that, but they are giving us that vibe, that look, that feel. Are you guys okay with that? Is that splitting hairs too finely? I go back and forth between, you know, what I feel is ethical, and not everybody can afford the Natasha Denona palettes, nor should you be spending money to buy palettes that aren't within your budget. Don't do that. Don't be that person. I'm going to take a clean fluffy brush here and try to buff out this a little bit. I need a little bit better blend. Sometimes people say that plagiarism is the greatest form of flattery. I think you say that until it's your work that created it, and then you're like, back off, you're making me my space. Okay, that actually went all of a sudden very wearable. I'm gonna try to buff this out a little too. Keep the love going. I don't know why, but all of a sudden I buffed out that kind of first top harsh edge, and now I'm like, oh, okay, this is lady of a certain age approved. We can wear this, and it's not too much. That's actually really pretty. I feel like I need a little bit more of that very first shade, so I'm making sure I've got brush here. I'm going back into Morgan. Do I need to? Yeah, I probably need to. Brushing off the brush, going into Star over here. Wow, that went pretty normal, everyday, like fun, not necessarily work related, but like fun, could easy go date night. And as far as like the color story goes, this still feels a little darker and more plummy, and this one feels slightly lighter and more pink. But in general, I don't know that there's a huge difference. So let's gank the whole thing up and go in with a yellow here. I'm gonna take Sunburst on my Aurora side, picking some of it up. This is where you hope that you don't end up jaundice looking with this bright yellow color. Now, if I were smarter, I would have put down a little bit deeper of a concealer or an eye base before I did that. Okay, going into Citrine on my now relatively clean brush. Put it on the side. Okay, that turned much darker than this yellow one. And I don't know if that's just like a normal thing. I think that happened with another yellow that I had where the yellow ended up looking more orange on one side and more brighter yellow on the other. I haven't used any, I mean, I don't have a shimmer that I've used in the inner corner yet. Let's grab one of those. I want to top it with something brighter. We're going to take the one called Brilliance. That's about as bright as we get in this palette. And I'm just tipping into just a little bit right here, right on top of that yellow, right on that inner tear duct, okay? Cleaning out the brush. And we're gonna go into, looks like agate. We're gonna go into agate on this side. Now, it feels like agate on the Natasha Denona side is perhaps a little bit more gold, whereas Brilliant on the Aurora side seems to be a little bit more champagne. Okay, I need to grab a little bit more Brilliance and add it over here. Yeah, it's more of a white brightness instead of like the yellow brightness that I get on this side. That's probably been one of the, well, I mean, that's like the number 2 discrepancy I'm seeing. So the shades are not coming across as exact matches. I'm just grabbing a little bit of like foundation serum or serum foundation. Cleans it up, lightens it up. Let's try that on this side. Okay. For whatever reason, this eyeshadow just seems, that's not the one I want, seems completely wearable despite that bright yellow. I mean, tell me guys, would you guys leave the house with this many colors of purples and rusts and oranges and yellows on your eye? Okay, I'm gonna grab a little more of a pencil brush. Let's grab one more color in here. We use Nova Twilight Flare. You know what? Let's go into this orange color. It's called Soul right here. So we're just gonna grab this one now that I got most of the kick up off. This is gonna get in my contacts. We're gonna take Carnelian on the Natasha side. And I feel like I see a little bit of kick up on this, but again with the mattes, we kind of just expect it. Natasha's matte formula is to die for. It's so good. Okay, I need a little bit of a darker color. I'm gonna go back into Nova, which is kind of what I used on that outer corner. Again, this seemed a little bit more pink on the Alter Ego side and a little bit more plum on the Tosh side. Just darkening up that outer lash line to give my eyes a little cohesion and structure without going in with the like eyeliner. Okay, and I'm grabbing the corresponding shade on this side called Glory. Finding that edge just a little bit. Let's put some mascara on and we'll give it the final look. Okay, you guys. Mascara's on. I always feel much more complete and finished and polished and stuff when mascara's on. I love this kind of eye look. It's fun, it's different, it's slightly more creative than I would just normal wear on an everyday basis, especially not, you know, if I'm wearing glasses. I definitely don't go this much color. If I were wearing this for date night, I might actually take a little bit of like a black eyeliner or deepen up that lash line just a little bit. But for me today, I'm actually gonna go run a couple errands, and my husband and my son and I are gonna head out of town for the night. And I think that this is perfectly fine to get out of town. I don't think anybody's gonna go, wait, do you have 2 different eyeshadow palettes on each eye? I think I managed to get them close enough where no one's gonna obviously see the difference. Now, that being said, there are differences. I felt like the Alter Ego, I had to build it up a little bit more, whereas the Natasha Denona went on super pigmented right away. But it did buff out and sheer out, which was nice, easy to work with. I felt like the Alter Ego had a little bit more kick up, but I noticed in both eyes, I don't have very much in my contacts, which sometimes happens, especially when I use like any kind of pink eyeshadows. This one I felt, speaking of pink, this one I felt got a little bit more pink in the darker shades, whereas this one got a little bit more purple, a little bit of a more of a darker, richer version. But that kind of lavender duochrome kind of shimmer over the top of the lid, I freaking love. I think it's awesome. I love it. That's my favorite shade in the entire palette. Okay, you guys, that's it for today's dupe videos. The Natasha Denona Sunrise palette versus the Alter Ego Aurora palette. Do you guys have either of these? Were you interested in either of these? Do you want me to come back and do 3 looks with this palette? Or are these old news and you're like, yeah, Shal, we knew that was a dupe a long time ago. You're just late to the game. because I'm not a makeup artist and not a professional YouTuber, and you guys love me anyway, right? I hope you are doing really well. Sorry you're zoomed in so far, but I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna wish you nothing but love and happiness and a fantastic evening, and until my next video, bye for now.